Call workshop to order. Is anyone make a motion that we accept the agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda as written.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Made by David, second by Patrick. All in favor? Aye. And at that point, we turn it over to Shannon.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Moore. Today we just have a number of projects we just want to report on, and as we work our way to the end, Clark Creasy is going to go over the community meeting plan for the 28th, so that would be more of an interactive type discussion. But as they report on the projects, please feel free to ask them questions. We want it to be conversational. So, Dean Gibbons, you're up.
Let me mention this we all know for all you guys. When we started doing these kind of workshop meetings, the idea was have an opportunity to get together where we can meet informally and kind of hash things out in a less structured atmosphere than we have at the town council. So this is supposed to be, it's designed to be really loose and more we can, kind of stay away from the formalities, but
The main difference, we can't make any decisions, right?
we can't make decisions here. We can discuss things, we can talk about things, but we can't make any kind of decision on anything.
So, Dean, let us hear down.
All right, basically, the big topic's the marina. I added a few things into the marina project, but we're not under the contract of the marina. One being the boat ramp, two being a hot dock for people to be able to load their boats and stuff over next to the marina. The parking lot, changing the direction of the parking lot. These things, everything there is completed. When it comes to the boardwalk marina, we still have a couple of things there to do. One of them being on the contractor, American Builders, and that is the fire suppression system. I talked to the fire suppression company yesterday to get an estimated time of completion, and they're saying first part of next week, weather depending. As long as they don't get thunderstorms that run them out of there or whatever, they hope to be completed and testing the fire suppression system at the beginning of next week. I still have some landscaping to do at each end of the boardwalk where you'll come on. We're probably going to do some ground cover. We do have a storm pipe at this end that we have to replace, so there'll be some more construction going on there. And then we're going to basically get ground cover down till fall. Fall's when we need to be planting shrubs and things of that nature and landscaping those two ends of the boardwalk. And I also have the camera system that is in the process of going in. He should be out here next week finishing installing the cameras. And that's pretty much the update for the Boardwalk Marina project. You guys have any questions?
Is I guess Parks and Recreation Board is involved in your planning and all, planting and that sort of thing?
Not so far they haven't been. We used Vic Knight, landscape architect, to give us an architectural drawing, and we've not got to that point yet. We just wanted to know what type of plants we needed to be planting that will last here and not cause a lot of maintenance and stuff. So we don't want things that are going to die off every year. We kind of want to do an area there that's self-sustaining. And we've just gotten the plans back from Vic Knight of what we could use in these areas.
Okay. Is that something you plan to run by the?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Once we kind of figure out where we want to go and what we want to do there, then we'll take that back to them and let them look at it.
I got one question, Dean. On the far end from here, where the day docks are and stuff, I guess there's not designated parking on that end for slips on that end, there's still, I guess, parking in this parking area and their access is to walk around, right?
Right, either that or there's gravel pull off or.
So they can use the gravel spot.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, if they can find parking at that end, that's fine. That's kind of why I built the hot dock over here at this side with the gangplank going out, and it's a 10-minute loading zone. So if people do park on this side, only one person really needs to go get the boat. They can bring it over to this hot dock, they can load all their stuff and go, so they're not having to drag everything all the way to the other.
I didn't realize we had that, that's a good idea.
I didn't either, you got the word out with the folks who are renting that they have that option.
I've not sent anything out to anybody, we've been doing it by word of mouth.
Okay.
And B that used to be closest to Morris Park, we left that
Right.
gangplank.
Right.
And then we put a 3-slip dock, aluminum floating dock at the end of that now. So we can hold 3 boats at a time. But we're trying to limit that parking to just 10 minutes. We don't want people parking there and going through Morris Park or whatever. We want that to be the benefit of people being able to load their boats instead of carrying stuff all the way around the marina.
You thought about putting a, you know, you see them all the time, 10-minute
I've got signs coming.
loading zone.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
they'll figure it out when they see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How are we on, how many are now repaid for and reserved, and how many are open, and do you have those numbers?
58 is the number that have not been taken.
Mhm.
So it was 208, so 220
Yeah.
was the total number of slips, so 58 have not been taken. And Linda is working down that list, so.
Yeah, she's still working down that list, so.
So, non-residents are getting the opportunity to rent these
Yes.
at this point?
Yes, and there's even been, and Linda's even talked to me a few times, there's even been some residents that have called in that weren't on the list. She stopped, she put them in and continued with the non-resident.
It might be a thought, just a good gesture, that now that, I know we're not totally done, we don't have the final CO, but it might be a good idea to send a specific email or letter or something to all these people that have rented these docks and tell them the features about the hot dock and the loading area. And just, you know, we got so much bad, or we've gotten bad press and comments, but,
Right.
you know, let's give them a little attention and send them something and tell them if they got any questions to call us, whoever you want to designate. That might be a thought.
Sounds good?
Give them a little attention, you know.
Right.
Another thing I probably would recommend is that as the new folks come in to lease, let them know at that time there's a loading, unloading dock,
Right.
hot dock.
Right.
So they will know when they sign up, there is a place for them to do that.
Right.
Another thing Dee and I did yesterday, or day before yesterday, we sent that information to Laura, is we've come up with, because of some of the Facebook comments, we've come up with why the marina, why the boardwalk, why were they done together, and what are the strengths. So we're planning on pulling together a little communique about the marina so that we can get the word out. There are numerous, tons of reasons why this was done, and there's a tremendous amount of benefit. And so we're gonna communicate that out to the community so they understand. The biggest being, there was no taxpayer funds used to build this. It is self-sustaining. We married it to the boardwalk. The boardwalk was absolutely dangerous, people going to the hospital. So it replaced basically a decrepit structure, and we found a way to pay for it without using taxpayer money. So it sets the stage for other development out there, like phase 2, that we have master plans. So we just haven't communicated all these positive things out there with the community, so we get ready to do that. So
Dean, what's the rate, resident rate per year is
1,100
11, so I thought, and the non-resident?
is 15.
Thank you.
When we're doing the math on the marina, we just kind of averaged every slip at 1250, just so we can get a mix and kind of dial us in as close as we could be. And then if there's no other questions on that, the only other, I've got several projects and things going on, but the only.
Hang on, Dean, one more question on
Yes, sir.
the marina. So, talk to me about the camera system. how is that working? And the reason I'm asking is, and Shannon's been dealing with this too, there may be a parallel system that goes over on the Flowering Bridge. So I'm just interested to find out how you figured out how to do the camera system on the boardwalk.
They use a guy named Dave McCall, the police department uses him also.
Okay.
He's very knowledgeable, I think he did some camera systems at the dam also.
Okay,
And he can tie these camera systems, from what I understand, he can tie other systems into the systems that he's putting in. As long as he has spots on a DVR, like he'll buy a DVR that can hold 16 cameras or 32 cameras or whatever, and they feed into the marina building.
okay, so the little marina building is gonna be hardwired or Bluetooth? You know?
It's both. The cameras that are out in the marina parking lot now,
Yeah,
we've upgraded all of them with newer high definition cameras, and they're hardwired in.
okay,
But as it goes out to the marina, out on the marina boardwalk, those are gonna be, Bluetoothed in or whatever to that building.
okay, so that's, you're gonna have a camera inside that building there that monitors the marina.
We've got cameras all over that.
I mean, a monitor,
Yeah, we've got a DVR in there that records
records it,
constantly.
all the cameras?
Yes.
Okay, right there. How does the police get it?
The police, it is, how is it transmitted to you guys, Sean? Is it through internet? Do you know?
We've got we utilize the DVR over at Marina as well, so we can monitor it on our computer, pull it up, suspect that's the internet.
Okay.
And then if we see something we need to make a copy of, then we go to the Marina.
All right, so here's my question. So you hook up, do you get camera feed into the internet? One camera at a time, how does that work? All the cameras?
Yeah, multiple screens, multiple views.
Off the town's internet, because that's what you're hooked into? Okay, you need to be careful. I'm not sure our town internet can handle that. When you hook all those cameras in and you're trying to feed with the internet, you're gonna be dragging down the bandwidth over here in the building, which is already at the maximum, so,
So it acts as an independent server over there,
okay,
and it's, when we connect to it, it's very similar to the remote desktop. So the hard labor comes on the server itself, and then it's basically just a projection of like a monitor that's
Okay.
and then you send commands over. So it's about 5 megabytes.
all right, I got you. So it's an on-demand from the internet. I'm just really sensitive to that because other folks are thinking about putting cameras into the system. And we're at a transition point right now with our system to go to something a little bit better. And right now, Mitchell, I mean, as you know, it's pretty tapped out, right? And so we just have to be very, very careful about that. But that's good. So for you, Chief, you have no problem monitoring those cameras? You got enough people to take a look at that stuff and you're
We don't monitor it 24/7, but we got it in the control room.
Okay.
It's sort of like with the school, when we're in there taking a break, I feel like we're still working, we thought we would still be things going around there.
I would, you don't need it, I mean, the marina's our property, so it's really our, town police monitoring our property. If we start to go to something like the Flowering Bridge or something that wants to tap in and use a similar system, we just need to be careful, Chief, and I would think about doing an MOU with those folks if we're gonna start to be monitoring other areas, or else you're gonna get, kind of inundated with all this camera. Just a thought, just something to think about as we go forward.
I think the Flowering Bridge is town property, right, Shannon? Well, I know we set up the, I know we set up the group, but isn't it town property?
Well, we wanted it to be, the state made overtures like it was gonna be, the state gave us money to maintain that facility. Personnel changed at the state, and the new folks that come in said that wasn't exactly kosher, but it was all initiated on the state side at our request. So there is a gray area about the Flowering Bridge and actual fee simple ownership of that facility, and that is something in the future we need to clarify. But right now, in my opinion, it's very gray, and it could be disputed by either party. But
the state basically gave us money, but we never received a deed, fee simple title for that facility. So,
So technically, I guess it maybe it's just still the state's.
and that could be argued.
And if
That would
you-
be better.
If you make them take a position, then we don't have argument. I mean, if we push them to say, okay, well, this is the gray
Did
area.
you give it to us or not? I mean, that's really
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But if we don't say give it to us or not, we've got the argument. That's my
It's-
point,
Yeah, if something happened
the gray.
and it had to be torn down or whatever, if, you know, some catastrophic event occurred, I think it would be nice to have that
The state property.
gray, yeah.
We had attorneys look at that when we were negotiating with Alan Moore about some rights of way in that area, and some of those attorneys raised the point that the state of North Carolina cannot convey property without first going through a very specific technical process. They just can't turn around and deed a piece of property to another party. It has to go through an upset bid type process, and that process never occurred.
Okay.
But the state of North Carolina, NCDOT, one of its divisions, basically wrote us a check for $125,000 and said, look, we give you this facility, and here's the money to maintain it perpetuity. If anything ever happens to it, it's all on you.
Yeah.
But we've got attorneys saying that process that was used did not follow state law. So
Okay.
there's a gray area there.
Sound like something we probably need to leave alone. What do y'all think?
Well,
Not that we're making a decision.
that money is just in general fund?
We have $75,000 of that 125 or 124 left, right, Sam? And there were commitments by the Flyer Bridge to repay those funds. Sam, is that correct? And so the Flyer Bridge over time was supposed to be replenishing that fund because those funds were used to help them do the things that needed to be done out there.
The,
So we're,
120 came from, that was what they thought it was gonna take to tear it down
yes,
at the time.
that's right.
And the main, if I remember correctly, the main thing they did with the money that we gave them out of that fund to begin with was to put some kind of, I think, some kind of coating or membrane, some kind of barrier on top of it to keep it from deteriorating further. So it was kind of a maintenance item, but they had paid back. I remember early on, they were paying back, on that, what we'd given them occasionally, every several months, or maybe once a year, they would come in and give us, some of that money back.
So those funds, as far as those funds coming back in, Sam, we haven't seen those come back to the town for some time, have we?
That's right.
Yeah. So,
I'd say let the sleeping dog lie.
Yeah.
okay, we can call timeout on it, leave it as it is, and let them continue to do their thing.
In other words, we're not making a decision, we're leaving everything just as it is.
We're not making any changes.
Right.
But those are the facts.
Okay.
And if it becomes something we need to make an issue, to make a decision and vote on, add it to regular council meeting agenda.
Sure, sure.
I mean, the only thing we know right now is that the Flowering Bridge is planning, kind of without letting us know, they're planning on putting the security system in and hooking into our system, but they haven't been talking to us. And so we went back to them and said, hey, get a plan, come talk to everybody involved so that we know what's going on. Don't just think that you're gonna hook into our system and then all will be well. And I think that's really the only issue that we have over there.
Yes, so I've asked ADNS, ADNS was requested to work on that system for them and then look at tying that back into the town. I ran that rabbit and I asked, well, who commissioned you? You're our IT service provider. Who commissioned you to do the study? And he says, well, we just want to make it clear it wasn't anybody currently with the town. I said, okay, well, who? And he said, well, let me go back and check my emails. I went back and checked his emails in 2017. He said, well, I have an email here from a Russ Pitts, who basically asked us to look at developing an interface between security for the bridge and the town. And I said, well, all right, time out. I'm asking you now to go ahead and do a study and see what it's gonna take for that to happen. Once we have that study, we're gonna share it with all parties, and then we'll have a discussion about this. But we just wanna make it clear, you work for us, and only a town representative can commission you to do something like this. And so they understand now that they work for the town, and only the town can commission them to do this. So they are doing it for us, and they'll give us a 1-2 page synopsis of what needs to be done to make it work. We'll take a look at it to see if it's in our best interest. Chief Humphreys was asked some questions, and I think you responded, Chief, did you not, to AD&S in response to what it is that we discovered. So,
Mitchell, you know, you see these live cams around. I know that Lakewood Adventure Company has one all the time that kind of looks out from their spot down there. Is this, if we ever wanted to put like the docks and the Flowering Bridge on live cam, would that work through this, whatever we put together now?
So how it works is, it's essentially a remote desktop or anybody on a different terminal can access that server. And it's normally a password protected access. In theory, you could broadcast a selected camera out to a designated IP, and that basically grants access for the general public to access that server. There's other ways to do it, but essentially you're going to be just tunneling video to other servers. As a short answer, it is possible, but it could cause some complications for security reasons.
Okay.
So it's best normally if you have cameras for security reasons to leave it just for.
Okay, and we've got these cameras are recording on a loop, I guess?
So they're a continuous, to my understanding on the systems that I've seen in town, it's a continuous recording that goes to a hard drive essentially. And then over time, it's set, there's a parameter that videos of a certain age are automatically removed.
Okay, so we keep them for a significant amount of time. So something happened at the marina, and we didn't find out about it till a day or two later, we could go back and look. Okay, yeah.
And some of the cameras that we've got a few strategic cameras on there that when we pull them up, we can actually pan, tilt, zoom those cameras. Most of them are fixed.
Yeah.
But there's 3 or 4 cameras that we can actually move and zoom into an area and leave it and things like that, and we don't want access to that. Because if we're watching a specific thing and somebody can get online and play with the camera, we don't want that happening.
Okay.
In my office, when I worked, we had some apartment complexes on out the street from us, and Spindale Police Department utilized our security systems a number of times. If they were looking for something specific or whatever. I think ours was on like a 45-day roll or something. We didn't keep it as long as maybe the town would need to, but.
That's good.
they
That's good. I didn't realize that the loop was that big or lasted that long.
Yeah, and then as Mitch was saying, if you put it off onto a hard drive, it's almost do it forever. I mean, for a long, long time, doing it that way. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a protocol in the software that you could probably carbonize it basically and take the video and archive it forever. But that gets very expensive very quickly.
There's been a number of times that we went back to this camera system and we went back weeks and looked at video on a certain camera looking for something to happen. And we've even downloaded on, a thumb drive, Sean?
Yeah.
We download that video on a thumb drive and we've got it. So, yeah, it maintains that stuff so that we can go back and look at it, because chances are we're gonna be looking at it in the past tense anyway.
Patrick, does Lakewood Tours have any security cameras and stuff?
There are a couple over there,
They
but I
operate?
think they're town property at Tours. I know at the hotel, we have our own system there, but I think the Tours one is town service
Gotcha.
for that one, so. Yeah, there is, I think there's a monitor there so that they can see it, but that one's a town security. Yeah.
Didn't you talk to us about one other item, I think?
Yeah, one other item I've got that I've been working toward is the dredging on the Morton property. That has been one more fun thing to try to get a hold of. Michelle Yelton, or Michelle Morton, will not talk to me or anybody from the town. She has a guy named Corey Hill, used to be a town employee here, that he is her property manager. and he's the only one that I can communicate through about the dredging on the property. Well, I communicated with him and explained to him what we wanted to do, and, I told him we wanted to do, a hold harmless agreement and an easement to the property to allow us to go up there and dredge each year. And, he came back to me and said that she would not sign an annual or a long-term agreement with the town. She was not interested in it and would not do it. And I said, what about, let's do it year by year basis. We come up, we tell you when we wanna dredge, fill out the paperwork, and we do it there. And he says, well, let me talk to her. And he said, she also mentioned that, with the town, if she allowed the town to come up there and dredge, you know the little white house that sits down next to the road, on that property? She asked would the town come in and redo that shoreline behind that house to save her house from washing away and put in riprap and things of that nature. Well, I felt like this was something that Corey was fishing for, and I told him, I said, you know, Corey, I said, that's a lot of work. That's getting DWQ, land quality. Mitchell could probably tell you what it would be to, permit-wise, to go in and restabilize a bank below a house and all that stuff. And I told them that we weren't interested in doing that at this point. We were just interested in dredging up on their property, which would be a benefit to her and to the town. Well, the response back is if the town's not gonna do anything for me, I don't want you on my property, period. So, go back and look at what she's asking for. If she won't give us a long-term contract, she'll only give it annually. If we were to go in there and spend several $1,000s trying to build up this property behind this house, who's to say next year she's even gonna let us up there anyway?
Well, I think it would be an advantage if you were gonna do something like that, and say, look, we'll help you with the permits and all that, but that's kind of an open-ended deal. You don't know how much you're spending, what you're gonna get into. You'd
Correct.
rather come up with a, you know, specific dollar amount, but I don't like that either. You helping her out either way. Do we have a, if she gives us just not a letter from a lawyer, but just a simple letter saying, you have, we're right, say, do we have permission to come up there and, take out the silt in the back 2/3 or 3/4 of the pond? That keeps you way away from the dam, keeps you away from any, from a chance of damaging anything there. And, on, you know, for one-time basis, we'll see how it works, and maybe we could, revisit it again, when it fills back in. Do you think she'd go for that?
I don't know, I'll be more than glad to move that up the ladder, but it seems like, I don't know if it's as much her as it is Corey,
Uh-huh,
or what the deal is, but I can only talk to one person.
yeah.
And I give a call, and then he won't return my calls for a week or two, and then finally I get back a hold of him, and well, let me get a hold of her and see. And I'll be glad to keep working this thing, to see what it would take to get us in there, but, it was kind of the impression I got is if you're not gonna do something for me, then I don't want you on my property, period. And I tried to explain to him, I said, well, you know, this is a benefit to you also,
Yeah.
and, you know,
Is there anything on the property, I guess Corey would know this, that needs to be filled in?
I don't know, I'd have to see, I'd have to check with Corey and see if they have an area that's low or something that won't fill in.
Okay, I guess Corey, probably has the, hunting privileges on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know, we'll see where it goes, but.
right.
I remember Corey, I don't know if he remembers me or not, but he hadn't been gone that long, has he? Time passing pretty fast now.
Sean, do you recall the year he's gone?
It's been about 5 years.
And that's just kind of what I'm running into. I'm pushing forward as hard as I can. See, when the first initial contact with Michelle, she answered my phone, and we
Right.
talked about it, and she thought it would be a good idea, and then we could work through this. So then I went to get Kurt to look at it, get William to look at it. Well, then, after I started trying to reconnect with her, she already had my name, I guess, popped up on her phone, and she wouldn't answer it. Well, then all of a sudden, the police department actually got a phone call from Corey and said, whoever's trying to get a hold of Michelle, I'm the one in charge of the property, I'm the one you have to talk to.
Okay, so that, you got that from Corey, not from Michelle?
Right, but I've also called Michelle, every time I call Michelle,
Uh-huh,
Corey will end up calling me back.
okay, so, yeah, all right.
So she'll see the number,
Mhm,
and then she'll call Corey and say, call Dean.
okay,
And so I've not been able to communicate with Michelle.
okay.
So we've got a little different approach. We can see if we can fly that up run up the flagpole and see if it flies.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, any other suggestions the board would have? I mean, if there's a member of the board that feels like they may have a better in with Michelle or Corey, we're open for that. But we're not saying, we're not putting it on you, we're just,
I've never met her, I wouldn't mind, I'd love to talk to her, but I've never met her. How well do you know Corey, Sean?
He was an officer here for about 3 years,
Okay.
but I don't know, the way he left, I don't know if he'd be,
Oh,
for talking to me,
okay.
or basically recommended his termination.
I had a business,
Oh,
she was a client of mine at one time.
uh-huh.
Probably wouldn't be best,
You would be the best one.
I'm not the best one. Okay.
And I've never met her either. I've just talked to her on the phone. If she were standing right here, I wouldn't know who she was.
the circumstances.
Well, I guess that leaves Ken Nealon.
I wasn't gonna say that.
Well, you just wait on this.
Well, she's banned him from that
Don't you get
property.
that, put that,
She's banned him from that property.
did you?
Yeah. He's trespassed against any of that property up there.
Really? Okay.
So much for your bright idea.
So much for my bright idea.
So I'm just saying, I move forward, I'll do it to pleasure, I'll do whatever we need to do, but it's not an easy task.
But
Let's check
maybe-
around, see if we find somebody that knows her and has a good,
Maybe you just ask Corey if he can come up with a solution for this.
Yeah.
With her.
Right.
Maybe you just, maybe you have, but if you haven't, maybe just say, look, we want this to work for her and for us.
Right.
Give us a proposal. Maybe the proposal is, we fix the, the creek bank behind the house, and I don't know what, I'd say that the time you get DEQ and all that stuff,
I see a ton of problems with trying to do that.
maybe we could help, commit to help with the, permitting and all, maybe cover the permit fees or something like that. But, it'd be great if we could get Corey to come up here sometime and walk up there and look at it.
Right.
And maybe walk the property a little bit. This, just looking at it from the road, and I've driven up as far as the pond, there's gotta be some places on there somewhere that need some, something filled in.
backfill.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be my next approach. I'll just try to get Corey to come down here and meet with me.
yeah,
And we'll go over and look at it and see what we can do that way.
okay,
Sounds good.
all right.
Anything else, Dean, critical you feel like the board needs to know?
Not unless you guys got any questions about any other things going on.
I guess I have one more question. I'm not sure if this is the right time, Shannon, but how about the boating incident? Where are we? Have you got that planned for another discussion?
I do.
Okay.
I've got the information sent to William that he's requested for y'all's authority.
Okay, well, Shannon says he's got that scheduled somewhere else to talk
Okay.
about.
But we're welcome, we could segue into the chief right after you, Dean, if you guys want to talk about
Yes.
that.
As far as I've gotten right now it was y'all's request was for William to look at the data and see if that you have the authority to do that. That data has been sent to William
Authority to do what?
for the
Revoke.
Marine Commission to pull that permit or suspend that permit or keep them off the lake. So that was sent to William. Michelle sent that stuff to me yesterday. I got it to William yesterday, so he's starting to go through that to find what the legalities on that is.
And that voter's last name was?
I don't remember his name.
What's his last name?
I don't remember. His first name's Carl. I forgot his last name.
Oh, okay.
We have it in the town package, it was in there, yeah.
Well, I'd say the quicker we get it addressed and spoken to, I think the better it will be that if we, in fact, are able to decide to revoke and stuff like that.
Yeah, so let's maybe get together on that one.
Have
Might be
the,
able to help if we
have the state charges been addressed yet?
Do you remember what his court date was, Sean?
Court date was yesterday,
Was what?
was yesterday.
Okay.
They continued it, but his attorney told the charging officer he's gonna plead guilty.
He told the officers he was gonna plead guilty?
Yeah, his attorney.
Okay.
So it's still pending, he continued it, but they do plan to plead.
Did he, that's just something he said on the side or something he told the court?
That's what his attorney told the charging officer.
Okay.
So a conviction would strengthen our hand.
Well, he's gonna plead guilty, so it'll be a conviction.
All right.
So it'll probably be another month before it gets back on the court docket for the plea to be entered.
The only thing I think about is, and I agree that we should be going down that path, probably to revoking his permit. But then the question is immediately, right after that's gonna be, okay, so what do I have to do to get my permit back? So we need to be ready to answer that too. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but I'm sure we can come up with something. Yeah. I don't know if a permanent revocation is what we're looking at. Maybe it is, but just something to think about, because that's what he's gonna ask.
Just a question, a straw poll for the board, are you looking for, if we're looking to revoke, if you allow for the court to enter a guilt, if he enters a guilty plea and there's a conviction, it strengthens your hand for you to take action. It's in the record.
Yeah. I think we need William's opinion, legal opinion, whether we can do that.
Okay.
I think that's the next most important piece of the puzzle.
And it could be by the time we get that back, we'll have a conviction.
Yeah.
So those two things will work together.
Well, I know William's got a lot on his plate, but he probably needs to know that's something we really want to get addressed. It's a safety issue.
Dean, don't go away yet, I got one more.
One more.
So on a similar topic, and this involves the chief too, so June 15th, people now have to have a sticker, right? Everyone has to have a sticker on the lake. Been on the lake a lot of years, there's always been those that don't have a sticker or whatever. This year, because of the delay, there are more people out there without a sticker than I mean, there's just, you've probably seen it. There's just a ton of folks out there. There are boats in our marina with last year's sticker still.
Right.
And so, my question is, do we have a plan to go after that? How are we gonna approach that? Because it's a little demoralizing, and I hear from a lot of folks, which is, here, I do everything right, I get all my stickers, and, costs a little bit of money, costs even more next year, and these folks, nothing happens to these folks that didn't bother to get a sticker. So, have we thought about an approach this year, how to get that done?
I'll let Sean talk more on it,
Okay.
but I do know that the officers have, since the weekend before the 15th, have really started getting aggressive with permits and boats without permits on the lake. And they knew as of the 15th, everything had to be a 2020 permit.
Okay.
But Sean, you got anything you want to add to that?
Just say it's been passed down, that that's a problem, and typically what I do is pass that on down to the officers. This is what we need to address mainly at this time. Passed it to the reserve officers, but I've also went to the full-time officers and effort to complement the reserve officers.
Yeah,
and
that's
them
awesome.
as well.
I would suggest, Sean, and it happened to me one time, it happened to me on January 1, and the officer sent me back to my boathouse till I got a sticker. And I think that should, without question, be the way it's handled. And if we take their registration number and everything, And if they're caught a second time, we fine or we revoke. I think we've gotta put some teeth in it, is what I think.
That's what I've told them, and they've escorted several off the lake this past couple of weekends.
And I think,
Citation or warning and escort them off the lake, either way.
and they should be told, we should have some policy, and we can't do it today, but we can next council meeting, that, or maybe we have one, we just have to institute of what happens when that, when they get caught again, or, they don't get a sticker, period.
The second time the fine doubles, and then the third, it doubles again for the third time.
So have we been finding them the first time? Or just a warning the first time?
Usually, what we do with the permits is we have a warning system on the citation, and number one, it makes you get off the lake today, but then it gives you 7 days to get your permit. If you don't get a permit within that 7 days, then it turns into a $250 fine, plus you gotta get your permit.
Okay, all right, I didn't know
I
that.
didn't realize that either.
So instead of, there are people who honestly forget, it happens. There's a few. So we've been using the 7-day warning method that says, you got 7 days to get it right.
That's good.
And if they decide that, well, I won't get it till next month, and they let it go over 7 days, they just cost themselves an additional $250 fine.
Are we tracking it? Do we have those names in a spreadsheet?
Yes.
And we know it's 7 days, it flips to.
We hashed this out a few years ago, Dean, help me remember, but I know at the time, we were, the business of not having to have a sticker till June or July had not come up. It was a different thing. We were looking at people who got out there in the spring and maybe came up for a weekend or whatever, but, it puts it in a different light with what's going on, this year. But I remember we did have a pretty thorough discussion of this, and I think that's where we came up with the 7 days and the fine, and then it doubling and doubling.
Right.
To give that little bit of 7 day
Yeah.
leeway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
I like it, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for focusing on that, because it's prevalent, it's prevalent.
Well, it's taking money out of our pocket.
Yeah, right.
And people that follow the rules and make it happen, these people can follow the rules and make it happen too.
I know the weekend before the 15th, I could tell Sean had talked to his officers and stuff, because I got like 4 phone calls that weekend from officers on the lake holding boats without a permit right then.
Okay.
So I know they were targeted and they were working. And you may see some of this more in your reporting numbers for next month. It's just been in the middle of the month, you don't have the updated numbers for what they're doing right now, but I know they were targeting it because I had several phone calls that weekend.
Well, again, I think one of our biggest problems is unpermitted, non-powered kayaks and canoes. That's
Yeah.
one of our biggest issues.
Yeah. I
No
mean,
permit.
those folks are loading right off you can see them coming into town, all right? They got 4 kayaks up on top, not a sticker among them, and you're like, where are they going? Guess where they're going?
Yeah, they're vacation renters or
Right,
something, and
right.
they bring that stuff in and go to their house, go to their dock, and
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe I'll work with Sean about maybe getting in an extra person that can monitor the boat ramps and monitor all around the ABC store and the river and stuff, just patrolling that constantly, watching people put in. And,
Yeah.
well, they'll have to come down to next door to your office.
yeah.
I mean, one of the associated things with it, just so you know, is those people, and I've seen this, they'll put in the kayaks, but they have no idea what the rules are. So the first thing those kayaks do is go right to the middle of the lake, which is, so it is really an effort, not only to get them to get the sticker, but it's really an effort to make sure everyone understands the rules before getting on the lake. So that's my view on it.
Yeah.
I know wildlife officers don't enforce town rules, right? But I haven't seen them in a while, but I don't have as good a vantage point as I used to, so.
I haven't seen them a single time.
You haven't seen them this year?
Have you seen them?
Wildlife, since Lake Lure has their own police and they police the lake the way
Yeah.
they do, wildlife, they will come down here from time to time, but they
Yeah.
focus on the other lakes without the police and
Yeah.
the bigger lakes and stuff.
Okay.
Some of them will come down here, usually I feel like when they come down here, they're just coming down here to get away.
Mhm.
But, And they won't enforce our no-wake laws, they won't enforce anything that's on our ordinance.
Only state guidelines.
Only
Yeah.
state guidelines.
They're looking for fishing licenses in
Yeah, they do
Boat
fish
permits,
licenses and stuff.
state boat permits.
Oh, state boat permits, yeah.
But then the town of Lake Lure, our officers are able to enforce the local and the state laws. And if they see something down here that's egregious, they will call for us, our officers, and say, look, we got them for this, but this is what they did to y'all, you know.
Do we enforce, fishing?
We can and do, just depends on the officer and what they're doing, but I mean, I've checked many fishing licenses.
Here's another, Commissioner Kilby just came up with something that sparked my attention. So, can somebody have an out-of-state registration and a town sticker? Can you have a Florida registration on your boat and a town sticker?
Yeah. As long as it's a valid registration, it's like if it's like you living in Florida and, you know, staying up here in North Carolina for
Yeah.
the time of the tag, the state, numbers, they transfer state to state just like our tag does.
That's interesting. Okay.
Dean, what else you got for us?
No. You sure? Y'all dragging me through the mud.
No, I mean, it's information.
It
I
is
appreciate it. If you need anything, feel free to let me know.
This is helpful, it's just a way for us to
Yeah.
talk through and just round out our knowledge of who's doing
Right,
what.
right.
All right, so, Mr. Lindsay, come on down, you're the next contestant. So, one of the things I wanted Dean to give you guys a little update on is a small generator. He has a whole list of projects that he is just now starting to work on. Feel free to quiz him on any of that if you like to. Small generator.
All right, we're started on the small generator rebuild or repair on Monday. Right now, we're just doing the parts organization, make sure we have everything, making gaskets, and start getting all of our parts together. The road will be here the first part of next week, and then we'll start the next phase of the installation.
So just to give a little more context, Clifton Power, Charlie Merritt is out, and so we have a new company in, and so the work that's being done, the quote we've been given is within the budget that was approved for Clifton Power to do the work. So our goal is to come in under budget, and just, if we're outside of our schedule or time, it won't be much. We're looking at how long, Dean? You said 5 weeks or less
Yes.
is what we're looking at. So we're really in the last inning of the ball game on this thing. And like you, I'm so tired of saying small generator.
Yeah.
I'm
3 years.
so ready for this thing to be done.
There you
So
go.
we're gonna get there, so.
We changed the name to generator number 2.
The 1.2 generator, 1.2 generator.
Yeah.
So anything else about the small generator?
No, big thing now is, it looks like we have all the parts, there's no big, major things that have been found wrong. Whenever we'll go down and inspect the runners and everything, but, so far all the inspections have turned out okay. We're getting oil pumps for the, new oil pumps for the big generator and small generator. So we'll be installing those, fixing a few oil leaks in the big generator, just things that's been going on for a while, but we're catching up on everything on maintenance.
Will there be a charging issue on this one, like we ran into the big generator where it's set so long and where it wouldn't take the charge or whatever it was?
No. That's part of what we're doing today for the small generator. We've cleaned the stator. It's been sitting down there, so now it's shiny, green and black. The inside, all the dust has been removed. Whenever B&M brings up the rotor, we will do another test on the stator just to re-verify that we do not have any grounding, everything's acceptable before we start the reassembly for the exciter.
Good.
But hopefully that won't be an issue for the future.
It'd be awesome. And you figure out which generator to run at what time, and then take a little adjusting for that.
Yep.
I don't even think your guys have seen that small generator run, have they? I don't
No.
think. Yeah, so this is new ground for us, and it'll be interesting to see. You've done a great job keeping the water level where it is, I think, and I've heard that from other folks too. They're like, what are we doing different with the lake level that's keeping it so constant so we can get in and out on a regular basis? And I'd say, it's Lindsay. That's what the difference is. And so, no, we appreciate that. The other thing worth mentioning is, I think, at the end of this month, Shannon, we're self-insuring our equipment, right? We're out of we have liability. Liability's never been an issue. We have town liability insurance to protect our people, but the equipment protection is out at the end of the month, right?
Yes. So do you want me to have the quotes ready for?
Yes.
Should be by
Okay.
then.
Okay,
Quotes for the insurance will be ready, but
okay.
it'll be a decision if we do self-insure.
That's right.
Whatever your decision is.
So,
Okay.
Did we get an answer on whether those things are ACV, actual cash value, or replacement on those insurance?
For the insurance, I believe we got back from Amy that basically they just threw a number out there. Nothing was ever gone through. I've looked at the email again, but I think it was just might have been the actual.
Actual cash value?
Yes.
so Dean, when are those quotes coming back in?
The last one, Mr. Brown, I think with the American Hydro Insurance, when I got back from leave that,
Monday?
yeah, I got him the information, but it should be by the end of this week or then next week. I was able to get, 2 people to submit bids. I was shooting for 3, but, if I get the two companies to submit their quotes, then that's what we'll go with.
So what we'll do is we'll have those ready for you guys to review July 14th. So then at that point, we can decide whether or not we accept those bids or we self-insure. So does that work?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So those will be coming in, and we'll need to ask that question about cash value. Commissioner Kilby, what were those terms you used?
Actual cash value or replacement?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big difference, obviously.
I did for the quotes, and I did the numbers that we had talked about, just the lower values, just to get a better
Yeah.
price on the insurance.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if they're asking for a specific value of the piece of equipment, then they're gonna be insured at probably actual cash value, not a replacement thing, so. We'll get that, when they get the quotes, we'll be able to tell that.
Good.
I'll get everything to you so you can review.
And that makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, would we really, if a generator blew up and we needed to, would we really replace with a new generator in a 100-year-old dam? I'm not so sure we would do that. So the AC, I think the
So
actual.
that's how we decide if it's a good value for the premium.
Right,
we pay.
right,
That's the big thing.
If we have it set up, even if what we're insured for, we're just looking for the repair. And
Right.
repairs will be minute compared to
Right.
putting a new generator in.
Right. It's like a warranty extension is really what it is, not really a insurance policy per se, but, it's all interesting. And like I said, Dean, thanks for doing all, with a little bit of rain, I think, you've been generating pretty good.
Yes, we're scheduled, we just talk a little bit, we don't have to have a down day this week, so
Yeah.
we're just running 5 days a week and weekends for recovery. So,
So right now, we're still running the 50 to 60 range, Sam? So per month.
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
our
doing-
target. isn't
That's our
it?
target, so that's what we thought we would do. So, Dean, what other projects you have planned down there?
well, we gotta get a light moved, somebody didn't like the night light, so.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we will be adding more lighting down there, and we'll try and get it directed away, we're doing.
No, I'm not, I'm just mostly
Oh, I know.
kidding with you.
But we will be, for the Tanner gates, we're adding lighting down there for safety and security, just since
Yeah.
we're having to go down there and work, but, we'll be adding a new service and rewiring all that. For our trash gate hoist, we have to replace it. They never had power down there for it, so we'll go away with the chain hoist.
Yeah,
And everything will be remoted where you don't have to go down. It'll be operated from the top until whenever we visit the automation, the trash gate will be part of that automation also. Then just future projects, the painting, the lighting down in the powerhouse, just the general upkeep.
The Clifton Power gave you one of the last things they did was give you all the procedures, you've got all those, and you're gonna automate those and get those incorporated in there, that'll be.
Yes, all that will be, incorporated in. If it's an official procedure, it'll be, submitted to Michelle, and, we'll keep everything.
What is is there a schedule for painting?
I don't have it tied down yet. We're starting with, painting the pin stop down below, adding lights. That's starting next week, and that's just.
I'm thinking the face of the dam.
This is
No,
interior.
this is inside the powerhouse. I
Okay.
haven't,
Well, my thinking is if the face of the dam is in about as bad a shape as it's been, as far as the paint's gone from it. We're gonna be down this fall, this winter. I don't know if we've got the money, if we wanna think about that, but that might be something that we consider while we're down to, it's been, how long's it been? Who's here that would? Dean?
I remember it being done, but I don't remember what year it was.
Sam?
Probably about 8 years.
Yeah, probably about 8 years since we last had it painted. And it's looking pretty, I mean, it's an old dam.
before we do it's fine if that's what they look at, but I thought about the painting on front, but there's a lot of evaluation I have to do just for right below each buttress, there's a seam. We'd like to, it'd be done whenever we lower the lake level, we can get the smaller, seams filled just with hydraulic cement or something
Yeah.
else.
Right.
We get it all sealed, and then we put a fresh coat of paint on it. But there's a lot of the buttresses at the top, there's just where you can tell that during construction, where 2 big sections of concrete, that's where you see the calcium build up and just the little bit of leakage.
Yeah.
But, if we lower the level down, it's only about 6 foot down, and, whenever we do that, that was my plan,
Something
just
you
new
wanna do.
ceiling and paint.
Dean, y'all spray out those, vines that are growing on it, they're kinda hard to see, I guess, from the dam itself, but on the lake, you look up in there, you see, I don't know.
Poison ivy.
Is it poison ivy that's growing there?
Is this in the buttress or on the tank gates?
It's across at where the, supports for the dam, for the bridge go up. It's poison ivy that, Dave, I think, Dave used to handle it.
We can add that to we can add that to the list and just get everything sprayed.
Yeah. And along that line, I asked, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the sight line coming on to the dam from the north side, the trees and brush were all grown up, and I asked, about that. We looked at it, it was handled that day, and taken care of and sprayed, so that was a safety issue. To all that helped with that, we thank you.
Yeah.
Quick reaction.
David Airwood jumped right on it.
Dean, you need anything from us?
No, I'm good, just plugging away at it.
Do you have enough resources to I know you've been focused on the safety down there, kind of the OSHA kind of stuff. Do you have all the resources you need to do everything you want to do down there?
Yes, even through all this construction, we have met with the safety lady for the contractors.
Oh, okay.
We do a safety meeting every morning.
Yeah.
Before we start, we get the plan of the day. Right now, as far as for the OSHA things, the MSDSs and stuff, we're getting rid of a lot of the stuff that was down there. But, programs will be shaping up. By the end of the year, we get the generator done.
Awesome.
And procedures, we're moving in the right direction.
One of the things, and I'll share, and please chime in because we were both on the same call. And for the benefit of the commissioners and town manager, what we've got in front of us, we've been talking to some people that run other hydro plants. One guy in particular who does automation for these plants, very interesting. So Duke Power has restructured the way that they pay for hydro. And the reason it's been restructured is in the last 10 years,
Solar power has come online, and they have other tools, and so it's all about preventing diesel-powered and other fossil fuel plants from coming online. They benefit, the solar during the day, the hydro at other parts. So it's gotten very complicated. So when we go into negotiation with Duke in the spring, there'll be very targeted areas during a week where you maximize how much money you make on the hydro plant. Not just, right now, it's kind of like 9 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night.
7 to 11.
Okay, 7 to 11. So it's gonna be like these 3 hours during the day. Well, in order to and by the way, the price, like we get on average about 5 or 6 cents a kilowatt. I'm talking upwards of 36 to 40 cents a kilowatt during these targeted windows. But to get that, to be able to do that, instead of Dean and his team going down there and manually trying to figure this out, there's a way to automate the plant, which is what this guy does to maximize his profits to get that done. And he told us, if you do this, within a year, you'll make back all the cost of the automation, and you're off and running, making money. So once Dean figures out with the small generator and the big generator, what the difference between those two is and all that data, we'll go in a position of strength in the negotiation with Duke in the spring with the automation to perhaps maximize our profits. So that's what we got. Did you want to add anything? That's pretty much it.
Look at, targeting 4 companies to give us competitive quotes on automation for the Tanner Gates, the dam.
Yeah.
And everyone from Piedmont Hydro, Emerson's coming down, but we'll start the quote process. It'll be here on Friday. We'll start getting things together for the first quote. And once I get all the bids in, that's when we'll be able to present it.
So you guys can see it's a new day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
it's
will
really
be a
is.
lot of progress.
40 cents.
And you encourage it.
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Ruby, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm good. Shouldn't have anything.
Thank you, Dean. Is it break time, or you want the next guy to come in?
5 minutes?
Yeah, take 5.
Yeah.